Welcome back to Għidli Storja, tell me a story, and today's story is this. Once there was a poor woman who called her 3 daughters to her bedside. Dear daughters, it won't be long before I die and leave you all to yourself. When I'm gone, call on your uncles so they will build you each a tiny cottage. Please promise me that you will love one another. Farewell. And the poor woman breathed her last breath, and the 3 daughters burst into tears. The 3 daughters left their mother's cottage, and out in the street they met one of their uncles who wove nets. Katerina, the eldest daughter, said, "Uncle, our mother has just died. Since you are so kind-hearted, will you please build me a house of rushes?" And the uncle who wove carpets built Katerina a house of rushes. The other 2 daughters kept on walking, and they met another uncle who was a carpenter. Julia, the middle daughter, asked, "Uncle, our mother has just died. Since you are so kind-hearted, will you please build me a wooden cottage?" And the uncle who was a carpenter built Julia a wooden cottage. Marietta, the youngest daughter, kept on walking, and she met another uncle who was a blacksmith. "Uncle, my mother has just died. Since you are so kind-hearted, will you please build me a house made of iron?" And so the uncle who was a blacksmith built Marietta an iron cottage. The wolf came out and knock, knock, knock on Katerina's cottage of rushes. "Who is it?" called Katerina through the closed door of her cottage. "It's poor me, who is drenched to the bone. Please let me in." And Katerina said, "Go away, wolf, you've come to eat me up." But the wolf pushed aside the rushes, walked into the cottage, and gobbled up Katerina. The following morning, Julia and Marietta called on Katerina. They saw the rushes pushed in and Katerina gone. They realized that Katerina was gobbled up by a wolf. At dusk, the wolf came out again and knock, knock, knock on Julia's wooden cottage. "Who is it?" called Julia through the closed door of her cottage. "It's me, poor me, who've lost its way. Please let me in." "Go away, wolf, you've come to eat me up like you've eaten up my sister Katerina." But the wolf just smashed the wooden door, walked into the cottage, and gobbled up Julia. The following morning, Marietta called on Julia, and she saw the smashed door of the cottage and Julia gone. At dusk, the wolf came out again and knock, knock, knock on Marietta's iron cottage. "Who is it?" called Marietta through the closed door of her cottage. "It's me, frozen, half frozen to death. Please let me in, give me shelter." And Marietta called, "Go away, wolf, you've eaten up both of my sisters, you won't eat me up." And the wolf ran up against the door and howled because he broke his shoulder onto the door, which was made of iron, just as every inch of the cottage. Oh, Marietta, because of you, I've broken my shoulder, but I'm still fond of you. Tomorrow I invite you to join me to pick peas in a patch nearby. What do you think? Oh, Wolf, yes, when you're ready, just come by for me. Following morning, Marietta woke up before dawn and walked to the pea patch. There she picked peas and filled her apron. She walked back to her iron cottage, cooked peas and threw the pods out of the window. At 9 o'clock sharp, the wolf came. Knock, knock, knock. Marietta, are you ready? Let's go. And Marietta said, oh, Wolf, I've already been to the pea patch. Can't you see the pea pods out of the window? And can't you smell the pea soup I'm cooking? Okay, Marietta. Okay, so what about tomorrow morning at 9? This time we'll go and pick broad beans, my dear. And Marietta replied through her closed door, okay, Wolf, see you tomorrow morning at 9 sharp. And the following morning, Marietta woke up before dawn. She walked to the broad bean patch and collected broad beans into her apron. She went back to her iron cottage and there she cooked broad bean soup and threw the pods out of the window. At 9 o'clock sharp, the wolf came to her cottage. Knock, knock, knock. Marietta, are you ready? Let's go for our broad beans, my dear. And Marietta called through her closed door. Oh, Wolf, I've already been to the broad bean patch. Can't you smell the broad bean soup I'm cooking? And can't you see the broad bean pods out of the window? Oh, my dear, you're such a naughty girl, but you know, I'm still fond of you. Okay, so tomorrow I'll guide you to a pumpkin patch I'm familiar with. And there are huge pumpkins, and I'll help you carry the pumpkins back home, my dear Marietta. And Marietta said, of course, Wolf, see you tomorrow morning. And the following morning, Marietta woke up again before dawn and walked to the pumpkin patch. And suddenly she saw the wolf nearing towards her. She panicked because there was nowhere to hide. So rapidly she hollowed out a pumpkin and squeezed herself in. Just in time, because the wolf was already sniffing. I smell human flesh. There must be Marietta nearby. Where is she? I cannot see her, though I smell her. Okay, so I'll eat some pumpkins. And he ate pumpkins right and left, left and right. And he was close to the pumpkin in which Marietta was hidden. She held her breath and was scared that he would gobble up the pumpkin with her inside. But thankfully the wolf said, this is a huge pumpkin. I'll take it to Marietta. It will be a present for her. And so the wolf bit into the large pumpkin and carried it to Marietta's iron cottage. There he threw the pumpkin through the window and called, Marietta, Marietta, look what I've brought you. I've brought a present just for you. Come out and thank me. Marietta, in the safety of her iron cottage, got out of the pumpkin and slammed the window of her cottage. And through the window she said, oh, wolf, I wasn't the pumpkin you've carried to my own cottage. Na, 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 na. Wolf was furious. He had to go back home. That evening it was snowing and Marietta was at her fireside to keep herself warm. Suddenly she heard noises up on her roof. Could it be the wolf again? So she filled a kettle with water and put it on the fire to boil. The wolf was lowering himself into the chimney and he bumped onto what he thought it was Marietta and splash! Ooh! And Marietta at last got rid of her enemy, and since then she has been living peacefully. That's the end of the Italian folk tale, The Three Cottages.